We appreciate you taking the time to hear us speak. Housekeeping first.
It's hard, it's vibrating and hard to hear.
Housekeeping first. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay, please note, ladies, toilets are on the left, out the door here, and men, for once you are right. There will be question time after the meeting. Reporters, please report away fairly. As you can see, we are recording this meeting, and a huge thank you goes out to Trident Electronics for doing a job far better than I can. We have Mark Quinn to speak about how our council needs to be challenged given the mess the council have left us in. We have Kevin Moratti to speak. We have a petition to abolish the cycleways. We need 10,000 signatures, so please sign if you haven't already. Oh, and don't forget the coffee cart outside. Jade would love to see you. Oh, and Kevin's waving his shirts there. Kevin will get up and speak about all that shortly. Current councillors, if you are here to campaign tonight, please be respectful and refrain, as this platform is for new candidates only, and we want to hear what they've all got to say. Okay, so new councillors, we're going to change it up a bit tonight. So new councillors are going to speak first, and you, the public, once they've spoken, can ask them some questions. But remember, they're not in council yet. So first up, I'm going to introduce you to Craig Tonkin.
Can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
Yep, okay. So yeah, I'd like to introduce myself. My name's Craig Tonkin. You might recognise the family name. But we basically moved here to New Plymouth back in 1977 when I was the ripe old age of 4 years old. My father obviously started on the radio. And yeah, I grew up here, went to school actually here in Highlands Intermediate, and this is the first time in 41 years I've worked out since I've been in this hall, so it's great to be back. But a little bit about me. So obviously with my dad being who he was, I left town at the right young age of 17, and basically moved away, lived my life, had a family, got married, had a family, worked there, had businesses in Hamilton and Tauranga. And when our son left school and decided to pursue a career in the army as a maintenance fitter, mechanical engineer, we decided to move back home to New Plymouth to be closer to my dad and back in the town that I love. And yeah, so we moved back down here, and unfortunately I was actually really upset at the way the town had come, and that's after a lot of discussions with Councillor Murray Chong and other councillors and other people, decided to throw my name into the ring, and here I am. So that's a little bit about me. My wife and I, we've had businesses in Hamilton, small and medium businesses. We've owned our own businesses, we've contracted. I've worked for government bodies in the way of motorsport New Zealand, Motorcycle New Zealand. So had a little bit of experience in that, but as I said, we moved back here and there's a lot of things that need to change. For me, I do things a little bit differently. I haven't prepared a speech. I talk from the heart. I am who I am what I am. I've got no secrets to hide. If you want to know, ask me a question, ask me a question. If I know the answer, I'll tell you. If I don't, I'll find out and I'll come back to you and let you know. A lot of what I'm going to be doing is on my Facebook page, which is Craig Tonkin for New Plymouth, if you want to follow that. If I am successful, I'm going to be using that medium to gauge a lot of public interest. I want to be a councillor for you, the public, the ratepayers, the members of society, because that's what we need to do. I want to get back to basics. What I'm going to do tonight is really just introduce myself. We've got a lot of people here in the chat, great bunch of people up here, and looking forward to working with all of them. I'm happy to work with any councillor that's in there. We may not all have the same ideas or beliefs, but we have to have a wide variety of people in there so we can get this place turned around for the better and get it back to basics. We need to get back to basics, get rid of all these high spending things. We need to work on saving money, and as I said, get back to basics. Core duties: water, waste, roading, cleanliness of reserves. Get that tidied up, get back to basics. Once we've got the money saved, then we can look at the nice to haves. But that's way, way down in the future. We need to sort this out first. That's basically what I'm looking at doing. I'm not here to give you facts and figures. There's other candidates that know that information and are great with that. I'm not an analytical person. I'm the sort of person that will sit down with someone who's analytical and we'll get a plan together and we'll do it. I like to get out there and make sure things get done. So if you sit there and ask me, how much debt we're in, I couldn't tell you right now, but I would find out straight away and come back to you if you need to know that. So that's the sort of person I am. Things like the road barriers that we've got the petition here for, those sort of things we weren't asked about, we didn't want. I'm actually a victim of, not necessarily the Tim Tams, but the change in the lights on the Morley Road, Devon Street lights. My son's car got totaled there about 3 weeks ago. Someone who thought they had the right of way because they used to, didn't, and went through a red light and smacked into my son's car and totaled it. So we need to get back to sensibility. Now, I know that's not the fault of the council, but it all starts somewhere. And we need to, as I've said before, my main thing is get back to basics. I want to be the voice of you, of other councillors, of the public, of the ratepayers. We need to say, hey, look, what do we want to do? This is what we want to do. Let's work together and get it done. So that's the sort of person that where I'm coming from. That's what I like to do. As I said, I'll be using my Facebook page as a way of, and as well as getting out to people. Obviously, I'm down at Speedway with Dad every Saturday night. Him and I both commentate on the mic now. I was actually commentated up in Huntley for several years. So when I moved down here, I was approached and said, I hope you're going to join Dad. So here I am. But as I said, that's who I am. I'm an open book. I've got nothing to hide. I'm not bright enough to tell lies because I can't remember them. So I'd rather just tell the truth, and it is what it is. So I am battling a bit of a sore throat, so I'm not going to talk for a long time, but I wanted to be here tonight, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight, introduce myself to you, and if there's anything you want to know, feel free to grab me afterwards or ask me throughout the night, or as I said, jump on my Facebook page, Craig Tonkin for New Plymouth, and ask away. I'm happy to answer any questions out there. Thanks for your time. I suppose I should introduce the next person up. So we've got Drew. What's mate? Cheers.
Oh, thanks. No. Good evening. I'm Drew Jeffrey. About me. Grew up in Christchurch. Moved to New Plymouth about 13 years ago to be closer to my daughter. My wife and I operate a small business here in New Plymouth, and I've been involved with a number of different sporting groups and bits and pieces while I've been here. I'm nervous about public speaking, if you haven't picked that up already, so I'll keep this short and sweet. Going second always has its connotations, so thanks Craig for covering a lot of the points that I was sort of going to make of myself. But yeah, we need to get back to basics. The way the council's running at the moment, it's just, well, you all understand, that's why you're all here. I'm much the same. I'm one of you, council ratepayer, small business owner, and a family man. And we need to get back to the basics to get things back on track. Once again, I'm open to public dispute or repute and all the rest of it. So if you have any questions, much as anybody else, keen and willing to talk. I'll leave it at that. Thanks.
Good to hear your name.
Absolutely.
Drew Jeffrey.
Okay, thank you. What's the name of your industry, Drew? What's the name of your business?
New Plymouth Doors.
Okay, so you can see it here as well.
New Plymouth Doors.
Doors.
Oh, doors.
Commercial doors for the big buildings?
That's fine. Kia ora everyone, my name is Damon Fox and I am running for the District Council and am with ACT. So that's something that's been in the works for a while now and has just been announced today. You can't?
Yeah, just
Okay. Okay, check. Can you hear me now? There we go. Okay.
It's for my height, David, so you might have to put it up.
That's quite alright. Hey,
Sorry.
let me hold it actually. Let's do that.
That's probably better.
Cool. Alrighty. So yes, my name is Damon Fox. 33 years old, running for district council, and I am running under ACT Local. That just went live today. Some people in the know knew about that, but it just went out in the paper today. So I don't have a Facebook page to sell you. I don't have any cards. I'm just here to connect with the people and tell you a bit about me and what I have to offer. So. I'm born and bred from New Plymouth, from Taranaki. I was raised in Spotswood, now living in West Town. And as I said before, I'm working as a drug and alcohol clinician, so I work with some of our most vulnerable people. I've been through things myself, turned my life around and helping others to do the same. Now, two main issues that I'm focused on. One is a well-trodden path. You're going to hear about it a lot, and I think you know where ACT stands on that. Obviously, cost of living, irresponsible use of ratepayers' money, Tim Tams alongside a cup of tea, not on the side of the road. The spending of the art gallery, the sign up in Itanui. There's a lot of instances of this, and I've been doing my research since being, chosen to run, in 2022 when the mayor was running to be the mayor again. He stated that the number one problem was the cost of living, but that council could do very little about it. I was quite shocked to hear that. I think it's a very defeatist attitude, and I think it's passing the buck. I think councillors have a responsibility to address that. Second one, some might touch on this, some might not, so I'm very opposed to multi-wards. No doubt there's inequalities and there's things that need to be addressed, but the way to do that is not by compromising our democracy, which I believe multi-wards do. So that's me. You'll get to know me a bit better as the time goes on, obviously, and we'll have a Q&A. Do a bit of a Q&A at some point. Cool. Kia ora.
Okay, is there anybody here that wants to ask our new candidates any questions? Dead silence. Oh well, that's good, that bodes well for me then. Oh, short-sighted, aren't I? Stand up.
The first gentleman there, Craig, is it?
Yes.
Yeah. What's your intention to do with these new cycle lanes they've put in? I live in that area, they're dangerous. I hope you're going to have some kick behind that and get rid of them.
To be honest, great question. I've actually, up until literally yesterday, I lived in Spotswood and I travelled that road every day to get to work. I manage the local J-Car electronics store in town, so obviously driving from Spotswood all the way into Packensave and back out. Absolute waste of money. The thing with them, we had them. I moved down from Hamilton, as I say, 2.5 years ago. We had them put in there too, and they're gone. They are an absolute waste of money. They are a danger. And as I said, I travel that road every day. I've actually, hand on heart, seen one person ever since they went in using them. I've seen a lot of people on bikes, don't get me wrong, but they've all been riding on the footpath. Because it's safer. The thing is, you look at the road signs and they block them anyway, all the roadworks and the road cones. So no, I don't want to take up too much time. And answer your question, yeah, they need to go, but we need to wait until they're handed back to us so we can get rid of them. But this is what this petition is going to for, and I believe, hand on heart, that they will be gone. If it's up to me, they'll be gone tomorrow. So that's one of the reasons why, as I said before, my son's car got written off because of all the changes around there. Great question, mate. At the back.
Yeah, mate, what's your view? Excuse me, sir, one second. Just to iterate this for you people, when you Google cycleways and cyclists in New Zealand, only 1 to 3% use the cycleways. Yeah. Okay?
Yeah. And I'm actually a keen cyclist myself. I've got a mountain bike. So, but yeah.
Yeah, mate, what's your opinion on the homeless people that live around this town?
Again, great question. Where they've been is definitely not appropriate for anyone. They shouldn't be in the middle of town. The true homeless people, yeah, we need to do what we can to help them, but the ones that are just out there causing problems that then have a home to go to afterwards, they need to be gone for other reasons. But I don't think the YMCA is the way to do it. I believe they should open up the prison, put them in there, but I know we can't do that at the moment. But yeah, we need to look at what we can do there. But the ones that are just causing problems are not necessarily the homeless ones. So,
Yeah, why I asked that was, the mayor got up and said that they were moving them out. They were going to be moved out within a day. But I said they've now got to sweep each lane and sweep down on the lane streets.
we actually also have one that sometimes sleeps outside my store in town as well.
And I see they've now moved up to West Town.
Yeah. Awesome, mate. Great question. Any others?
No, Damien. You mentioned the Men Lie Centre.
Mm-hmm.
I've been there a couple of times. Lovely building on the outside. Been there twice inside. Once with friends from Auckland. What's your take on what to do about that? Do we really want it in this town, apart from the nice building on the outside?
Yes, I agree with you. I think it's a beautiful building, and I see tourists all the time taking photos outside of it. So I don't think we should get rid of the building. I think it should be instantly shut down for the amount of money that it's wasting. But I think it needs to be. What's that?
How much money is the cost?
Last time I checked, it was about $115,000 a week. It was running at a loss. Yeah. I think there've been a bit smoke and mirrors, ironically, given the look of the building, with the finances. But last time I checked, it was definitely over $100,000. So I think weekly, yeah. So I think shut it down. Repurpose it. I think it is a beautiful building. They didn't do bad on the design. Everything else, you know, we need to have a serious think about it. Yeah. Thanks for your question.
Before I retired,
Yes.
I had a professional job regarding compliance of buildings, and my understanding of the art gallery is that it's actually a lot of council staff that work there. Is that something that you'll be looking into, considering the size of the council building that we already have?
Are you still talking about the art gallery? You're talking about the actual council itself?
I'm talking about the main line.
Main line, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're speaking about would I be for like reducing staff? Yeah.
Well, firstly, there doesn't seem to be any transparency with the council as far as who works there, who engages those people at the art gallery.
Right.
Why are they working there? Why is 48 people there?
Yeah.
Do they work for the council, or are they working for other? Are they consultants that are working for the council because they don't have room at the council building? Or, yeah.
Cover that later. I'm happy to speak to it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, if it's around 50 people, I mean, I'd like to look at what's part-time and get a accurate picture of what's there. I mean, I just want to shut it down. Obviously, you're part of a team, and that would be a process. But yeah, definitely, if there's too many people, and I've been there a few times myself in my work, I've taken people through there, and there are a lot of empty space, a lot of people kind of standing around with very few actual residents and out-of-towners in there, so I think that's something that would need to get looked at for sure. Yeah, thanks for your question, mate. There's someone?
Yeah, I don't know, it's called managed retreat. What's that come under some other bill?
What's that, sorry?
Managed retreat.
Managed retreat?
Yep.
I'm not sure what that is.
On the council's website, it shows along the waterfront area where they have designated hazard
Right.
for anybody within about 50 metres of the sea, no matter how high or how far back, it's like 50 metres or something like that.
Okay.
And just to let people know, I went to change my insurance company, and I was told, sorry, you're within 50 metres of the sea.
Okay.
I'm 15 metres up, and 50 metres back, but I'm within that zone, and so are all my neighbours.
Right.
And down the road, they're being managed retreat, which means that my property value has just gone blink.
Right.
My rates, I've had nothing from the council about dropping my rates, of course. And people don't seem to realise anywhere where there's a likely hazard, what was some hazard analysis they did, or some consultants done, and anybody within certain range of a river, or a flood, or the sea, you're in managed retreat location according to the council's website, and you're likely to lose your property in the next 100 years because of global warming and sea rising and all these stupid things that they're not concerned about. I'm just interested in whether you knew about it.
No, to be honest, no, I did not know about that specific
Most
incident.
ratepayers don't.
Yeah.
Their concentration.
Thank you for that. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. I'll definitely look into that.
Ask me later, in question time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool. Any more questions? I don't want to hog the microphone. If you've got one speaking up, please, one back.
Comment on the so-called beautification of the main street. It seems to be taken an indeterminate amount of time to do one section with a pit of sporum and a couple of brownways.
Did you say the beautification? Is that actually what you said? Is that what it's called? Oh, okay. No, I'm not aware of that. I need to look into it. Does it serve no other purpose other than aesthetics? So they just try and make it look nice. Okay. Well, if it's not broken, don't fix it. I'll leave it at that.
Some of these questions you can ask me later.
Okay, I'm certain most people know who I am at this point. I've been engaged in campaigning for a while. But here goes. My name is Debbie Hancock. I'm standing for district-wide ward by listening, leading and delivering. We are hopefuls around the table, but I need to make it very clear that Vosseler and Hancock are only affiliated to ourselves. I grew up in Stratford and have lived in the New Plymouth area for around 35 years. I have grown children, one in Auckland and the other in the Taranaki district. Having owned 2 local businesses, I have learnt that like in business, council needs to pay back loans. Like any good business, you can't keep borrowing money. But council are borrowing freely with no regard to paying back the principal. They leave the debt to escalate. Our grandchildren will pay for what we are doing today. This is so wrong. I have grandchildren who will be looking into the impossible dream of purchasing their own homes in a few years' time. They won't be able to because of the out-of-control rate rises and water costs. I'm standing for council because I am passionate about people. People are our community. Tonight, I want to talk about the 2 rates accounts that you will be receiving soon. There are the standard council rates that we are accustomed to paying or not. There will also be another system which council are labelling as a CCO, which is to be set up, local water done well, LWDW. This will be a new set of rates owned by the council CCO. So I will explain that. Currently on our rates demand, we have a water charge of around $1,400. This includes water, sewer, stormwater. Oh, thanks. Did you find it? So this is your rates here. This is your normal rates. So if you have a look on the back, it's on the back. You'll find it on the back of your rates. Now, so I'll explain this. Currently our rates demand, we have a water charge of around $1,400. Now the council wants to start up a new CCO, council controlled organisation. This is another way of hiring more staff and charging more rates. This current water account is going to be transferred across into the CCO. Now we have 2 factions. One, a council operation rates, and one called Local Waters Done Well. We don't need to explain the council operation, but we do need to explain Local Waters Done Well. In setting up a new enterprise, the debt belonging to water, sewer and stormwater is being transferred from the council to this new system called Local Waters Done Well. LWDW will have an administration fee and a water usage fee on top of the interest of the debt we already have. So we will have 3 new sets of fees: admin charges, debt interest and water usage. A lot of this is not clear to us how the council are going to operate, because whilst transferring this debt, which is in the council, a large chunk of this will be transferred over to LWDW. And now I've completely lost all my speech because it's disappeared. Excuse me, sorry. So what we understand from this problem is the council has taken all that rates income for itself. Council has no money for debt, interest, maintenance or principal repayments on any future developments. Now, I've been looking at the long-term plan, the wages and salary declaration. Did you know that one person at council, their income is between $380,000 and $399,000 per year? Can you guess who this is? Yeah, I can't see that. You've got 6 people whose wages are $200,000 to $319,000 per year. 13 that get paid $160K to $199K per year. Let that sink in.
Are they worth it?
I think they call them shirkers, I'm not sure. There are 18 that get paid $140,000 to $159,000 per year. And so it goes on to $61 million a year just in staff wages. That's a lot of money. Who of these staff are qualified or fit for service? Who has experience and professional knowledge in the fields they are getting overpriced salaries for? Now you can see what a large part of our problem is. We have staff that are not fit for purpose. We have staff sending work out to contractors and not doing the costings. We have staff who are no longer required to do a 40-hour week as they get the contractor to price the job. Hence the overrun and blowouts, as they are not controlled but left to their own devices and not the council requirements, so they are there looking busy. What I also want to talk about tonight is voter apathy. Under 45% voter turnout last time, under 45%, so not even half. Now if you don't vote, you can't moan. The last date to enrol is by the 1st of August. If you enrol after this date, you will need to cast a special vote at the election. I will also talk about STV, single transferable voting, my hobby horse. We've all heard the excuses for why people don't come to these meetings. It's too cold. I'm washing my hair. I have food poisoning. Meetings make me think about stuff too much. Or I'm just not interested. Or I can't be bothered coming. So I guess these people are happy with their rate rises. But like it or not, council business affects us all in so many ways. We also need to get young people out to meetings to understand the voting system. They tell me they feel like they don't fit the demographic. Council attendees are old with grey hair. Some of us are. Or they don't feel like their voice is being heard. We must encourage these people into the debates by running a day seminar where they're running council for a day. People tell me they're disappointed because council's not listening to them and they feel nothing will change. We need to let these people know we are listening. Come and talk to us. Poor voter turnout can have costly consequences for ratepayers and renters by having the candidates with a history of excessive spending get back in. We must entice the other 64% of voters by open communication and interaction. Another cause of voter apathy is lack of education and communication. They don't know enough to vote. They're currently left in the dark, and when they ask, they are told, "Oh, it's a sensitive matter, you don't need to know." Of course we need to know, it's our money. We are trying to educate people by having these meetings. I know that people who have been following these meetings have learnt so much. I've heard some people think they can't vote because they have minor offences and or a criminal record. Of course you can vote. If you are on remand, home detention, or serving a community-based imprisonment of less than 3 years, and if you are enrolled to vote, you can have your say on October the 11th. Young people, if you are 17, you can fill out an enrolment form. On your 18th birthday, you are automatically enrolled, easy as. You can do this online. It is essential that we encourage young people to participate in council matters. We will be organising a couple of meetings during school holidays for them to share their thoughts, to confirm they are being heard. I see the Mayor is backing changes to take away power from local authorities. I hope we can have the Mayor in consultation with the public of New Plymouth about this. The Mayor is also in a rush to get the Huatoki Plaza development signed off. Why? Why the rush for this project now, for something that's been happening for so long? Why are the majority of councillors concerned about pram access for parents on this project, when uppermost on their mind should be the cost to ratepayers? Over 80% of people polled are opposed to this project going ahead at this time. There will be some additional debt to us, the ratepayers. This is because no one got a final price before starting the project. No business does this, but council recklessly does. Time for change. Nobody seems to know how much at this stage, as it's still a year out from consultation. And if we're speaking of change, we need a new mayor around the table. We need someone who can answer the hard questions and be transparent to all. We need councillors and mayors who will work for the people and not for their self-serving needs. We need to have like-minded people who are not compelled to spend. Well, not all the time anyway. How do we assess whether our mayor and councillors are doing a good job? The mayor pulls in around $160,000 per year. The CEO is $393,000 per year. Where are their performance assessments? Are they earning their money?
No.
These are burning questions that need to be answered. And I don't have those answers for you yet. So what I want to do now is demonstrate STV. Now remember this, folks, I cannot tell you how to vote or who to vote for, but I'm going to give you a demonstration of STV, or what I call strategic transferable voting. But I'm going to show you something different this time, because I am sick to death of people telling me we should vote for 3, 4, 8 people. That is not the case. If you vote for 8 people, you are going to get people around council watering down the votes, and you'll get your spenders back in. So at this stage, I want 3 people to come up to stage here so I can demonstrate. Can I have 3 up here, please? Any 3?
I'll come down. Oh, there you go, look, thank you.
Thank you. Now, I'll get one of you to stand there, one to stand in the middle, one to stand over there. Now, I want 3 people to come and join this man, please. Got 3? 3 people to join this man, 3 to join this one.
Vicky.
Come over this way.
Yeah, I'll have you steer over this side, thanks.
Someone's going to get more votes.
Yeah, that's fine.
1, 2, 3, excellent.
So see what's happening here? You've got 3 people and they vote for 3 new councillors. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 people. So that is 9 different people in council. If some of them vote for the same, you've got 7 to 9 people in council. Now, if all these people were told to vote for 8 people, what do you think would happen? There would be so many people in council that you would get your spenders back in. So if you've got 3 people lined up here and they all vote for 8 people, 8 times 3? There you go, 24 people. If you've got 3 people up here and they all vote for 3 people, how many do you get? 9. See the difference? Now if you've got 3 people up here and they all vote for 3 different new people, what happens? 9 new people. You don't get your spenders in. Okay? Point taken. Thanks guys, you can sit down. I will now introduce Mark. Thank you.
I'll give you something to across the stage. Alright. Now, first of all, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Just take the mic off. Right, okay. How's that sound?
Yeah.
Right, okay. Not used to having things poked in my nose. Never mind. I'll lose the glasses. Now, good evening. My name is Mark Costa. A bit of background stuff from me. Grew up here in Plymouth, high school in the early 70s. Even spent a bit of time here at Highlands. I worked at the local county council, then a stint operating heavy machinery for the Forest Service down south before completing my first degree in anthropology and psychology at Otago University. Back to New Plymouth in the 80s, wife, kids, mowing the lawns on Sundays and working locally here for the probation service for nigh on 20 years. New Plymouth back then was still a great place to both live and bring up kids. A change in politics within the public service, a bit like what's happening with councils, so time to get out, and get out I did. Took my skills and expertise elsewhere, another postgrad degree in occupational safety and health, some UK qualifications, and then I ended up commuting back and forth all over Southeast Asia as a consultant for a number of oil companies. So, you can take from all that, I learn and I process at a more than reasonable level. Go ahead and ask around. I am many things, but being stupid is not one of them. In fact, I have a major problem. I have a strong aversion to stupidity in its many manifest forms. Sadly, our current council seems to be taking this to a completely new level. So in part, that's why I'm here. Moving on, a few council projects. The thermal dryer, you may be aware of. Originally an upgrade to the Plymouth wastewater treatment plant, which was built here in 1984. But by 2020, the plant was on its last legs, and it's COVID time, and along comes Shane Jones dishing out borrowed money. Estimated at the time to cost $43 million all up, and the government have given that 37 of that. But here we go. By 2022, it was eventually revealed that ratepayers would have to cover the cost of a $40 million budget blowout. Fast forward to last month, when council meet again behind closed doors, yet again to discuss more budget blowouts. So, again, not hard to comment, even if we don't have all the details. This is not just $1, $2 or $3 million, but 10, 20, 30, $40 million over. And here we go. Like Debbie said, we have to be very, very careful nowadays about trying to make council management accountable in any way, shape or form. People get bent out of shape. So, who are the project managers? Has anybody resigned, for instance? I somehow doubt it. Any court cases looming with the contractors? Who knows? This is incompetence on a huge scale. Anywhere in the real world, someone's backside would probably be kicked in the big time. Anyway, moving on. Some of you may be aware of the headlong rush of work on Devon Street West between Morley and Barrett Road. So, $3.8 million for this project coming from NZTA, and you need to remember this very, very carefully, NZTA and the previous government. This is not just New Plymouth, but several other towns and cities around the country. What a coincidence. Is this really about cyclist safety? After looking at it all unfold, I'm starting to seriously doubt it. You only need to look at some of those intersections, the deliberate shutting down, turning right options, Belt Road, Morley Street. This is nothing about cycle safety. Really. So, these are roads and streets designed primarily for motor vehicles. And who is the target group here? Businesses are losing out big time. Residents and the public at large have hit these raised buffers. And the only people happy with this nonsense is the council, the panel beaters and the tyre companies around the town. Right. Some talk of a safety audit being carried out. Once this project has been completed, you may have heard this. Now, I can tell you from my own experience, now, safety audits are standard practice for any project. So, this is nothing out of the ordinary. But what does concern me is the lack of any formal record or log of all the incidents. There's no log, no official log. So, in short, I have absolutely no confidence whatsoever in the validity or impartiality of any such audit. There it goes. We have all sat in and listened to people talking to council about losing up to $100,000 on trying to sell their house because suddenly there's no parking outside. This is in Devon Street West. Graphics Print making a submission for the return of 3 car parks outside their business. Around the table, a vote, council voting, and the majority around the table saying no. And here I go again. This is stupidity on a major scale, and this council are being told so repeatedly. These people are not listening, and they are not prepared to stop. And here it is. Do you actually think this is the end of these cycle lanes? Now, I'm looking around for Murray Chong. A question for Murray Chong whenever he gets back. So, if council secure more of this Julianne Genter NZTA funding, would they be repeating this nonsense up and down to Cobber Street, for instance, or the main street out to Fitzroy? Now, you might think no, but wait and see. I need to ask Murray about this. I've asked him informally, but again, I need to ask around a few other people. It is entirely possible. Don't shut the idea out. Anyway, moving along. So, in addition to having a mayor and 14 elected councillors around the table, New Plymouth has 20 community board members spread across the 5 wards. Current records indicate that New Plymouth District Council has about 530 full-time equivalent staff. And you've heard from Debbie about some of the salaries these people get. Now I need to throw into that mix that we are in a cost of living crisis, but these people get the 5% rise every couple of years. That's standard. Welcome to the real world. Right, so in 2022-2023, that number in council was as high as 858. Now here's a kicker. Of the current amount, I am told that 94 of these personnel are deemed cultural advisors. Here it goes. So, being fair, it's unclear as to whether or not they are in a full-time in such advisory roles or part-time. Regardless, that, in my view, is just way, way too many. We need more people on the ground doing the real stuff, and at the moment, the reality is there's too many chiefs and not enough Indians. In short, we seem to have lost focus on what really matters in our communities. So, some more examples. And like I said, we have done quite a number of background work, sitting in on council, doing official information act requests, and trying to find out what's going on. So, we have spent a lot of time watching. So, on 15 December 2024, New Plymouth District Council seemingly voted on behalf of you all to send a submission to the Select Committee as regards their and yours opposition to the Treaty Principles Bill. That's on 15 December last year. Voted, yep, and sent in a submission. Again, like I said, I'm not too concerned as to your own opinions on the Treaty Principles Bill. That's your business. But I do consider it way outside Council's brief to be sending off submissions signed as New Plymouth District Council and inferring that it's on behalf of us all. It's bloody well not. So, here we go. It gets worse. So a couple of weeks before this, a submission was made to District Council from Parihaka and representatives of all the districts iwi to call for a ceasefire in Gaza. Really? Hey, this is what's happening. Basically following the same process as iwi have followed around their objection to seabed mining. Except on that occasion, the Mayor refused to accept the notice of motion. So, following on from this general theme, the 24th of June, last week, the Plymouth District Council voted unanimously to support a motion tabled by Councillor Clinton Godius to oppose a Trans-Tasman Resources Plan to mine iron sands and other minerals off the South Carolina coast. You're all familiar with this? Right, now, this is my area of speciality. So a bit of perspective here. Now what I want you to do is put aside all the arguments for and against regarding seabed mining. I don't care which way you swing on it. Just put it all aside. But what I want you to do is focus entirely on the issue of jurisdiction only. Right. So, from my own experience with drilling completions, I can tell you that where they're going to mine, this is right on the boundary of the New Zealand 12-mile territorial limit. So, this is beyond the direct influence, control of the likes of the Taranaki Regional Council. And here we go, and absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with the likes of New Plymouth District Council. It would be just the same if the likes of Invercargill City Council had an opinion about seabed mining off the Taranaki coast, and so on their table of motion. The same damn thing. here's a bit more insight. And this is not coincidence. Drilling companies and mining companies aren't stupid. The Maui A platform, guess what? That sits 22 nautical miles from land. Way, way outside any 12-mile nautical limit. Whereas the Pauakura platform, which feeds gas into Methanex, is only about 5k offshore. Its operations jointly overseen by the Taranaki Regional Council and local iwi. So again, make up your own mind how that works. But for me, what particularly gets up my nose is the lack of any real consultation with the wider community on these issues. Before, the likes of your elected council, en masse, suddenly decides it's representing us all in voicing an objection to something that is completely outside our area of control. Again, none of my business what your personal opinion is, but I believe such matters should not be part of the day-to-day business of what a district council should be dealing with. And like some of these other guys have said, keep it simple. Rates, roading, rubbish, water and sewage. And here we go. Please, please leave the ideology to the idiots in Wellington. So, another lingering thought for you all. Taranaki and New Plymouth used to be New Zealand oil and gas province before the deliberate actions of the previous government. The wealth and prosperity of New Plymouth has been built for a long, long time on the oil and gas industry and the skills and expertise of people living here. That's the reality, whether you all like it or not. So, the likes of Shell have gone. OMV are clinging on by their fingernails. And the Plymouth District Council have sent out a clear message along with local iwi. So here's the question. Would you, as an overseas oil exploration company, want to come here now? What kind of message have they got? Again, from my own experience, I would be thinking very, very, very carefully about it. In short, there has been, I believe, some unintended collateral damage from all of this, which New Plymouth District Council either do not care about or do not have the intellectual foresight to seriously consider. The damage has been done. Idiots. Sorry, no way of putting it. Now, a quick sidetrack. Just to clear up a bit of confusion in some quarters, the Māori ward situation. Even if the Māori wards do get thrown out come October, they will still remain in place here around the Plymouth District Council table until 2028.
28.
3 years. So again,
Deservedly so.
well, good on you. Again, we all have a vote on that. It's called democracy.
And I stand with the local iwi.
You go right ahead and you vote with one vote and I will do the same. So again, talking about more lack of consultation. December 2020, the Rainbow Crossing in New Plymouth came about as a result of submissions being made to council by Rainbow Youth Taranaki and Pride Taranaki. And less than 12 hours later, a rainbow crossing appeared on the road. 12 hours later. New Plymouth Mayor, Neil Holam, said the crossing, only the second permanent rainbow crossing in the country behind Wellington, sent a clear message to the LGBT community that was valued and cared about. Again, regardless of your personal view on such things, I do not believe it was the most open and upfront of decisions. To basically dump it on the road without seeing some wider mandate, other than from just one sector of the community. Council saying, we know what's good for you, whether you like it or not. Far too much of this almost underhand decision making, in my opinion. I am, along with a few others, are a strong advocate advocate for involving more of the community in everyday decision making. Heaven forbid, this council needs all the help it can get. We all remember those awful days during COVID when we were using QR codes and scanning them with our phones. Not stealing anyone's thunder here, but again, next time Murray Chong's around, I'll get him to explain it. There is technology there available which we can utilise to involve you all in decision making with that QR code process. Another contentious subject, the rough sleepers. So, I actually stood up at council and made a submission on this issue. I told them they were being incredibly naive and gullible to think they could deal with some of the people in isolation to all the other baggage that comes with it. Let's be clear here. There are those who are homeless and there are those who are, excuse the expression, taking the piss. So, do you actually think genuine homeless people would be hanging out in the main street, drinking alcohol, smoking dope and dealing weed? No.
Worldwide.
Yeah, well, again, I've travelled a wee bit too. Yep. So, as the next probation officer, this is not my... Hey, listen, you'll ask questions with everybody else. Just wait. So, as the next probation officer, this is not my first rodeo. Like I said, I spent a long time dealing with people like this in the criminal justice system. The real people in need are wanting to be helped. And there is a hardcore group who want the free food and the sympathy, but insist on pleading themselves as to their behaviour. Yet, there remains a lot of people in New Plymouth who believe if they could just get a bit of alcohol and drug counselling, a warm, dry house, and a little understanding, it would be all okay. So, reality theory here. I'm here to tell you that you need to wake up and be able to clearly differentiate between the two. I do not agree it's just council's responsibility to step up where a number of government agencies and social service agencies have essentially given up. So, Kerry, Debbie and I have been down there on a few occasions and spoken to some of the shopkeepers. Asked them, how many councillors have you seen, by the way? And the answer has, we've seen Murray Chong, we've seen Max Bruff, and one guy said, we've seen some person way back about closing the street for Americana. That's it. That's it. Meeting since with the mayor, the CEO and the police at council. General public, of course, not invited. Again, I wonder why. So, bit of an update. The council, as some of you may know, owns that Metro Plaza in town, where many of these rough sleepers hang out. They have terminated the lease arrangements with some of the shops in the mall. I suppose that's one way with dealing with complaints. Long term, the Metro Plaza will be demolished to open up the Huataki stream to that side of the street, and Debbie has covered, and some of the other guys, covered the cost of that. Something we just cannot afford at the moment. Solution for the rough sleepers, there are a few. There is a bylaw available council. There always has been. They used it some years ago when they had the same problem at Victor Davies Park. Council have done this before. Remember the large amounts of freedom campers down the Waiwakawa River mouth and around some of our reserves. Beefed up the bylaw and made things happen. And again, by way of update, I've just been hearing from like the Max Bruff that the issue of the bylaw has been upgraded and updated, so you watch the space. So, regardless of all that, the issue with the rough sleepers has gone on and on and on for far too long. The colder weather is upon us, and some of them have sought out other options. But just wait till summer. They will be back. And why wouldn't they? Now, I've covered a few issues. There are, of course, a whole lot more. Way too many for us to try and cover here. The main point I want you to take away from me and some of my colleagues, that we're all grown-ups. Some of us are better looking than others. Anyway, all of us have the skills to go into council and say enough. Enough of the stupidity, enough of the ideology and the nonsense. And most importantly, enough of the current attitude of spending our money. The cold, hard reality is that we do need a clean out. The minority are repeatedly voted down 95% of the time. So, easy decision for you come October. Vote for more of the same, or vote for a big change around that table. Up to you. So, a bit of a sidetrack again. Now, before I came out here, busy looking at a couple of posts online. One from a lady who used to live here, God bless her soul, but she moved with her partner to the Gold Coast. But for whatever reason, her hubby is pining for the fields and missing the life back here in New Plymouth. She says, and I quote, "We now live on the Gold Coast in a 4-bedroom freestanding home on a 680 square metre section, about some 5 minutes from the beach." It sounds lovely. Our rates are $2,500 per year, and our water and sewage is $1,200 per year. Go figure. Now, you might know, some of you, that Australian homes are rate capped. Councils in Australia cannot increase rates beyond the rate of inflation without some mandate from ratepayers. Now, politically, you're probably aware, the Taxpayers Union are lobbying central government for the same thing to happen here. But whether or not that happens before the local body election come October 11th, who knows? So that's the process. Anyway, thank you very much. So my pleasure to introduce Kerry Vosseler.
No mention of the ginger crunch. Good evening. Thank you for coming along tonight. I am Kerry Vosseler. Can you hear me down the back? Cool. I'm a New Plymouth District resident and ratepayer and business owner for over 40 years. I believe Taranaki is an amazing place to live with the mountain, the rivers, the parks and the beaches. It's also an amazing place to raise a family. I have 2 children who have gone on to have families of their own. However, the mismanagement of New Plymouth rates is making New Plymouth District unaffordable for all, and our kids won't be able to live the New Zealand dream of home ownership because rates are skyrocketing and they won't be able to afford a mortgage. I'm a 3rd generation business owner and I have run businesses in New Plymouth for over 40 years, most recently Chaos Cafe, which I established and ran for 20 years before selling 18 months ago. Yeah. Hospitality is an incredibly hard industry with up to 80% of businesses failing within the first 2 years. Chaos succeeded in this tough economic environment by my careful management of finances. And I would bring this discipline to the council because council is seriously lacking business sense. Who is fit to make the financial decisions around council table? What is their experience or their qualifications? We have councillors that sit around the table because it is a job, not a passion for the district. We have one councillor who has been a career politician for close to 40 years, others who are using the council to advance their own political party aspirations. I believe New Plymouth District ratepayers should be council's top priority. Council also is putting UN affiliations before its ratepayers. It happily signs off on projects without understanding or caring what the consequences are. Look at the cycleways. So no due diligence done there. The majority of funds for these cycleways come from central government. New Plymouth District Council couldn't wait to get their hands on this money with the justification that central government provided the funds. Does New Plymouth District Council not understand that central government gets its funds from the same source that New Plymouth District Council does? Us. These unused cycleways, and as Mark quoted, it's only about 3.7% of the population use cycleways, they just disrupt traffic and decrease productivity. They are all part of the Council's commitment to the UN sustainability projects. Before the cycleway construction was started, a petition was put to Council with 7,700 signatures and 1,700 people made submissions, with the majority against the cycleways. Council ignored these. Under the Local Government Act, Council has to listen to the ratepayers concerned, but it doesn't have to act on them. So who owns the Council? We do. We are the Council. These cycleways are also meant to improve our health and reduce our carbon emissions, whilst reducing vehicle kilometrage. So this is just a push for public transport and for you lot to all get out of your cars. Time for New Plymouth District Council to put the ratepayers to the fore, not behind UN goals. No one elects UN representatives. So as discussed, Len Lai costs us $125,000 a week to operate, borrowed money. I went along to a council meeting a few months ago, and one of the councillors, who I believe has a conflict of interest, argued strongly against increasing the out-of-town. They currently pay $15 entry, and to put it up $2 a head to $17 a head for out-of-towners. Now, as ratepayers, something like 4% of our rates go towards the cost of running Len Lai. For me, that's a couple of $1,000s a year. You know, no, it's not by lie, it's about $700 a year. That's a lot more than paying $17 for an out-of-towner, and you'll all be in the same group. What roles are duplicated at the Len Lai, Pukeariki and the library? These three operations need serious auditing to see where and how costs can be cut, as does the rest of Council, and if necessary, if we're able to, yes, I think Len Lai should be closed. We don't know if we've been left any curly laws or agreements with Council and the Len Lai Foundation, so we can only assume that we can do it. We also pay interest costs of $385,000 per week to service the $406 million of debt that Council wants to increase, with no apparent concern to the upstream effects to ratepayers. We are already paying interest only on some of these loans because we can't afford the principal repayments. This debt is planned to be paid by the future generations, our kids and grandkids. So Costa, Vosseler and Hancock, and we do have our other guests tonight, are three independent candidates with no political party affiliations. We have done the hard work, we have attended council meetings, and we have submitted local government official information requests and spoken to persons affected by current council policies. We need business-minded people around this table. We need at least 8 new people thinking the way that we think, and we need a new mayor. And these people need to understand that money out should not exceed money in, the basic premise of a successful business. Ratepayers are seriously hurting. Beach Street residents have seen a 48% rate increase in the last 2 years. One Owakura resident I've spoken to has had a 60% increase in that time. And a friend's just been in touch with me. With this upcoming rate increase of 9.9%, he will see his rates go up by 91% in the last 6.5 years. And this is before the water rates that Debbie was talking about are added. So this has to stop. What is the point of having nice to haves if no one can afford to live in the district? We have speed humps, we have rainbow crossings, we have street cones, not core structure. It is time to get back to the basics, New Plymouth District Council. Water, roads, libraries, community pools, rubbish, footpaths, lighting. Built and paid for by our parents and grandparents and their parents again. New Plymouth District Council was audited in 2022 and received the lowest rating that an auditor can give, with inconsistent and inadequate processes in place, quote unquote. Contractors re-engaged without performance reviews. Purchase orders raised after services are completed. Payments made without supporting documentation. The 2025 report states that little to no improvement in this. The Mayor employs the CEO runs the council. I want results. Let's get some accountability and some transparency. I manage my home finances better than this. When questioned by Radio New Zealand on the unaffordability of New Plymouth rates, the council spokesperson stated that if New Plymouth ratepayers cannot afford to pay their rates, they will just have to sell their homes. Not a sympathetic view, insight from a person whose wages are paid for by us, the ratepayers. So, rates increases, empty homes, who pays the loss of rates? The rest of us, they'll just be bumped up. We have a grand design for a sports hub at the racecourse, which was originally going to house several sports, is now limited to 6 indoor basketball courts at the cost of multiple millions of dollars of borrowed money. Where was the fixed price contract at the beginning of the project? That's how private business runs. Is this project now fit for purpose? My issue with the sports hub is, can we actually trust the council to run this project without costly overruns? $4.5 million was spent on the original concept design without a spade in the dirt. That is now a redundant plan. Wasted money. And it has suddenly been recognised as for the need of traffic lights on the Rogan Street, Coronation Street intersection, Coronation Avenue intersection, at the cost of $3.5 million. This traffic control requirement should have been recognised at the feasibility study stage, not a couple of years down the line. How can a budget be presented without a complete set of plans? It would appear that New Plymouth District Council hasn't done its homework and expect that once again ratepayers will just pick up the tab. The current situation is that New Plymouth District Council failed to seek a resource consent and for this latest requirement for traffic lights. I have been before planning committees and sought resource consent from council on several occasions. They don't make it easy, it certainly isn't cheap, and it takes a long, long time. This council seems to follow the mantra of do as I say, not as I do. $42 million of expenditure to complete the cycleway to Waitara. 2 options are available to council. The road travels along to Mahuitahi Road, which travels on the western boundary of the Waiongina River. At that point, the cycleway could turn left, travel 500 metres down a currently unsealed but public paper road to a bridge that was designed to carry a water main into Waitara. So all the infrastructure's there basically. That bridge has a surface perfectly suitable for cyclists and pedestrians. Gold-plated plan by council wants the track to turn right, where it will travel across land purchased by the council, us, build a brand new bridge across the Waiongina River, and then travel all the way back down on the opposite side to where a paper road already exists, to join up on the other side of the existing bridge and tottle off into Waitara. As a ratepayer, which option would you prefer? And we have put up a video on this issue. It's on the Plymouth Ratepayers Action page. Now, are you aware that New Plymouth District Council owns the New Plymouth Airport under a management structure called a Council-Controlled Trading Organisation, as Debbie was talking about with the new water infrastructure? When this flash new airport was built, the CCO spent lots of money on its artwork, but neglected to upgrade the now 60-year-old septic system. That system now needs money spent on it. Another example of a feasibility study not being done on the entire project. Who is the project manager on this project? How much were they paid? And are they still employed by council? So 100% owned by us, the ratepayers. The airport is an independent organisation. We can't access business dealings because of the way this corporate entity is structured. We can't even submit a local government official information request to get information. Why can't we access this information? We are the owners. And this business is funded by debt. Yet the airport just built a fancy lookout outside its boundary of no significance to the running of the airport, with money that could have repaid debt or fixed an ageing septic system. Be aware that this council favours this management structure for the new water entity, which can borrow huge amounts of money through a CCO. Add that to the $460 million that we already owe. Borrow, borrow, borrow. And we're worried about rates now. Coming next to New Plymouth District are water rates. Council is stating that that meters will save us money, as we will be able to identify leaks. Don't expect your rates to go down. We already pay the targeted rates for water services, as Debbie said. Look on the back of your rates bill. Council is proposing 12 months of mock billing so that we will get used to the idea, and then the charges will begin. You will pay for a delivery of water even if you don't use it. Our water infrastructure is in serious need of upgrading. This includes wastewater removal. That's not even being talked about. Haven't we been paying rates over the decades to maintain our water services? Where have these targeted rates been spent? Water, rubbish, roading, streetlights, libraries, community halls, parks, etc. Stick to the basics. So I'm amazed that up to 5 years ago, nobody actually mentioned our collapsive water infrastructure. Then along came He Puapua, including 3 waters, all about the co-governance and ownership of water. Now remember, our parents and grandparents built and paid for these assets, and we're still paying. They are not owned by the corporate council. Change of government and water is still top of the issues, and our council wants a conglomerate of New Plymouth, South Taranaki District Council and Stratford District Council. Remember, none of this existed 5 years ago. New Plymouth District Council, as stated, prefers the Taranaki-wide CCO, able to borrow pots of money with no input from ratepayers, several layers of bureaucracy, so large salaries on every layer, before any services or upgrades are even delivered. Stratford District Council is about to be hit with a large infrastructure bill. Do we think this is a good time to amalgamate? So Stratford and South Taranaki have both voted against the CCO, and submissions to New Plymouth District Council show a majority of ratepayers are against this combined CCO, but we know the New Plymouth District Council's propensity to ignore ratepayers' choices. Even though our water assets will be transferred to the new entity, the ratepayers will still be responsible for the original debt, as well as the new debt that will be acquired by this new entity. So I believe it is time to put the brakes on this council spending and look at the reality of ratepayers trying to pay their rates. New Plymouth has had times of real prosperity, but right now isn't one of them. I'm running for council on budgetary common sense. Let's audit council spending, limit non-essential projects, reduce bureaucracy and cut costly affiliations like Local Government New Zealand. We'll reprioritise reliable infrastructure, making New Plymouth District somewhere we can all afford to live. So I'm asking for your vote to build a council that works for the ratepayer, a New Plymouth that is affordable, and we also create a great community for future generations, because that is our future. So just to reiterate with STV voting, unfortunately it's alphabetical and my name starts with V. So I'll be right down at the bottom of the page. If what I say resonates with you, please go down to the bottom of the page and put a 1 next to Vosseler. Together we will work together for a great New Plymouth. Thank you. And I'd just like to introduce, please, Kevin Moretti.
Let's lighten this up. There's too many dead faces.
I've got the shirt off someone's back. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good to see you all out on this lovely night. It's not raining, so that's jolly, jolly good.
Mr. Mike?
Yeah, I should know how to use one of these things, shouldn't I? Okay. My role in New Plymouth at the moment is Chairman of the New Plymouth District's Ratepayers Alliance. I want to be very clear about our position. Thank you very much for inviting me as a guest to speak tonight. We are aligned to the New Zealand Taxpayers Union. We are a platform to move forward with these elections. We've got a number of meetings coming up which we're setting the platform for. Well, all new candidates and existing candidates will get the dates. They'll be at the Plymouth. There's 6 meetings coming up, which have been funded by generous donations from people throughout our community who are concerned, like you folks, where our rates have become unaffordable. When you're listening to people bringing you up and saying, how can I stay in my house? And lawyers are saying they're getting 2 or 3 a week. People of my age wondering how they can stay there. They've lost their husband or wife. They've been there for 30, 40 years. Right, I've outlined our position for this upcoming election. And this platform has been established. We established it on the 28th of August last year, and it's grown. I've got a magnificent team around me. I've got Alex, our treasurer, down here somewhere. And Linda, my wife, down the back, she's here selling these shirts for $20. So we can buy some more. Some of them were donated, but we're at the council on the 8th of July at 1 o'clock. You're going to hear, the council's going to hear from the New Plymouth District Ratepayers Alliance. The problems that we have found and that these folk up here have found, and that's why they're standing, where people cannot afford to continuously paying their rates. So the next public meeting of the Alliance is on the 16th of July at 7 p.m. in the Plymouth International. That is a public meeting. We're going to let everyone know where we've come from and what we've done for the ratepayers in New Plymouth. We've made representations to council on the walkway, if you heard, the Devon Road, the Sports Hub, Lenlie, Water done well. I could carry on about all these. We've been at all these meetings. We've got submissions tomorrow on Water done well, starting at 9 o'clock in the morning at the council buildings. But here's a classic you may not have picked up on yet, guys up here. I only found out tonight. Our illustrious council at their one of the big planning meetings said that our council rates were increasing by 9.9%, inclusive of GST. They made a mistake. So now they're ducking and diving. So we're paying all these people this big money up there, and that big mistake, it's cost lawyers and all sorts of things, so they're trying to amend it at the moment. But I wish all these candidates well. There's going to be a whole lot. I believe there'll be about 20 odd, and could be up probably 4 or 5 or 6 for mayor. So we've got some real hard thinking to do in the next couple of months. But we've got all these meetings coming up, so do join us and look at our website, which is Ratepayers Alliance Facebook page. It's NP Ratepayers Alliance, and you get on there and you'll find out what we're doing and all the meetings that are coming up that you can attend. The big thing we're finding is we've only got 2, and good to see you guys down the back, the age group that we're looking for that are not attending meetings, and they are the reason we are here. They're the reason that I'm here, is because our future children, grandchildren. My wife and I had a meeting with the CEO a couple of weeks, 3 weeks ago, over our rates, which I won't go into because they went further than the roof. And we said to him, in 5 years' time, looking at your long-term plan, our rates are going to go from 9.5 to just under 20,000. I said, and your council debt is going from about 406,000 at the moment. It'll be under $1 billion, just around $1 billion. And he said, yeah, long-term debt's good. 36,000 ratepayers? No. We just can't keep doing it. And that's, I guess, the regularly used word is enough is enough. We just cannot keep doing it. So do come and help us out with the t-shirts. If you can be at the meeting on the 8th of July, wear your t-shirts. The mayor says, the boys in black are coming, are they? He's found out about our black t-shirts. So we're all wearing t-shirts and we're meeting outside first, and we're going to let them know. There's myself and Sheridan, George. I'm doing a pretty hard-hitting address, and Sheridan's doing the social effect of these rate increases on our community. And it's real emotional because it is affecting so many people when you can't stay in your house. Thank you.
Okay, folks, we're just going to have a 15-minute break and then we will listen to Mark Quinn on what he has to say about our runaway council. Thank you.